Welcome, people of the World Wide Web. So it's Cypher Sigma here, it's midweek, and we all know what's happening. It's look what I'm watching. Just to get a funny little thumbnail up from there. So anybody who's new to the series that has been going, I think 26, 27 weeks, something like that, is I give you a roundup of what I've been watching. If you're following the channel, may have followed the last video, you see that I've been away, so I didn't really get to watch much. I try and keep this video series mainly to physical media, so ones I've actually watched. I do watch a lot of stuff online and I do watch a lot of series, so obviously I can watch a series over weeks to months if it's with the wife and that, so this is it. I want to get featured on here until it ends. Anyway, let's not beat around the bush and get into it. So the first one off is Universal Soldier Day of Reckoning. So a nice cover. I picked this up recently when I went shopping, and I would say that is almost about the best of this movie. So it is a kind of new addition to the Universal Soldier universe, so to speak. Anybody who's seen the original one from the late 80s and stuff, I think obviously these characters do return. But Scott Akins, who's a UK martial artist, he takes precedent on this one. He's a bit he's the main protagonist, so to speak. On this, there's a lot of kind of clone. I mean, it only kind of comes into its own very near the end where Scott Akins starts to do some martial arts, and there's one or two scenes fighting in tunnels that I thought was really good, and then he gets to Jean-Claude Van Damme, and unfortunately when I read Van Damme wanted to slow the pace down, and Scott Akins actually damaged himself, so they had to kind of slow down the whole action, and then it's all right to have it in a collection. It's nothing, it's nice. I think I've got the first two Universal Soldiers, so Universal Soldier and Universal Soldier: The Return. But this will sit there. I may get the other one. I think there's another two. Or there is, so I'll get it probably to finish the series off. Next, I've been watching over the span of the weekend is Critters. So this is the 4-movie pack. So anybody who doesn't know, this is all 4 movies that were produced before they then did the web series from Shutter, which is a new binge. I think is it binge something or Critters binge. And I actually really like this. So I remember watching the first one as a kid, and that was about it. I don't really remember any of the others if I've watched them all. And yeah, so it has 2 of the main actors who have followed, but anything has some similarities with Gremlins, but supposedly it was created before Gremlins, but you get the kind of thing there. These unfortunately are aliens. They escape from a prison in one, lay land on the earth, and they terrorise a farm. And then the humans fight back, manage to survive, or most of them manage to survive and kill the critters. Then the critters manage to lay eggs, and they come back again for number 2. They fight again. Number 3, there's more eggs, a different environment. You have Leonardo DiCaprio on this. It was his first ever film for number 3. And then 4, you have, which is a continuation of 3, because 3 and 4 were shot back to back, is Charlie, who is kind of the main protagonist from this. He finds the last 2 eggs, and they realise that because they are actually the last 2 critters in the whole universe, that you can't destroy them. He puts them in a pod, he gets stuck in a pod and then gets shot in space, and that's number 4 is in space. It's a little lackluster in places. I mean, it has a few good moments. The animatronics are done good, and some of it how it is. It's a very cheesy horror type movie. There isn't many deaths. I think 4 as the most altogether. But I do quite like him. I do quite like the actor who plays Charlie and a few of the other actors. I didn't realise there are Angela Bassett, I think, is in 4. Obviously, Leonardo DiCaprio is in 3. The main guy, or the young kid from 1 and 2, he goes on to be in ER and a few other things. So they've gone on to do some stuff. But yeah, I did not mind this. I was going to buy this when it first came out, and then I regretted it, and then I'm glad I picked it up, because yeah, I do really like that. Then we have next Smallfoot. So this, let's put it in there. So this is a James Corden animated. I'm not James Corden's biggest fan, blatantly, but it's kind of, you have the Yetis, or abominable snowman. They live on top of this mountain, and they believe that the Earth was created in a specific way, and they have these rules, and they don't believe anybody else exists. Due to one of them unfortunately coming across a plane that crash lands, he then believes there is a Smallfoot. And gets exiled because the rest of them don't believe him, and then he ends up going to the human world and finding out about humans, and then there's kind of them two coming together. There's a lot of twists. I actually quite like this. I thought this was quite a good one. It did not bother me too much. James Gordon will voice this at all. Then the next one on the list, one of my favourite animes. If you've been watching the Cineworld Challenge, you'll see that this one has come up. Your Name is absolutely amazing. Kind of not rom comedy, but a romance between two people in Japan. One lives in the city, one lives in the town, and they swap bodies. And it's how they kind of form this relationship, but every time they go back to their normal lives, they forget everything that they've kind of done, but there is still that some connection, and this is kind of a running theme throughout of it. There are a lot of twists and turns and discovery, and it is set over a big kind of time period, but it is brilliant, and it's kind of, the ending leaves you wanting more. The bloke who created this has done quite a few similar to it like this, and they are really, really good, really well animated, really good music and stuff. And I would definitely I definitely recommend getting this on Blu-ray, because the visuals need to be seen to the best quality. I mean, I might do it 4K, and maybe I need to upgrade again. But it's also good that you can have it dubbed, and the dubbing is really good, or you can have it in Japanese, and you can have the music in English and Japanese as well, which was a really nice like kind of twist on it. Because I like listening to the Japanese songs, and when I watched it this time, my wife was with me, and the song, she's like, I kind of recognise you listened to something like this before, and I was like, yeah, it's just the English version of the Japanese song. So that was a nice little thing. And then finally, last but not least, is Much Ado About Nothing. So this is 2012 Joss Whedon's remake of the Shakespeare classic Much Ado About Nothing. It says it's done for a modern time, and this was kind of a premise that kind of spurred me in to get this. Unfortunately, I wasn't a big fan of this. If you love Shakespeare, this has got raving reviews. It's done really well. It features many casts members from the Joss Whedon family, from Buffy, from Firefly, and a few other things littered here, there, and everywhere. They all speak in the same kind of Shakespeare language. It is done in a black and white kind of colouring, but it is all mostly set around a house and the people within the house and people meeting in the house, and that there isn't much movement in between those. I say it was okay, not really my cup of tea, because massively Shakespeare. You know, I did enjoy like the Romeo and Juliet version, just because it was a little bit more modernised, and this one wasn't for me. But that is all I've been watching for this week. I've been Cypher Sigma Screen Time. Hopefully enjoying this channel. Have you seen any of these? Do you recommend any of it? You know, is there maybe something you see here that you think I would like? Please do put it in the comments below. Like, comment, subscribe, do all the things that you want to do. Otherwise, I shall see you in the next video.